It's your man Big Dom, host of the True Players Podcast, hitting you with the upfront, blatantly honest, in your face, no punches held opinions on sports, current events, relationships, and many other topics along the way. Check out this next episode of my podcast.
This that true player shit. We gon' make it live with Big Dom. We ain't holding no punches. True players, we live, homie, no frontin'. Always talk about something. So taking over, you know that the wait is over. That in your face commentary is fire in the show up. We talk about sports, finance, and relationships. True players, we always playing the greatest hits. 1804, that mean Hades lit. Mothers feel the true players like baby kicks. Our live podcast is hard as hard hats. Real life shit, that true players will talk that. So tune in and watch the whole world zoom in. When they hit it,
What's good, everybody? It's been Big Dom coming live now to another True Players Podcast episode on a Sunday night. Just finishing now the divisional playoffs in the NFL. I just watched an ending of an era, ending of a career in regards to Drew Brees. Losing Tom Brady 30-20. As Tom Brady is going to an NFC Championship game against the Green Bay Packers. That has been set. The Bills are going to be facing the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. That has been set. I'm not going to spend too much time on the NFL playoffs as of right now. I will speak more about it in the later podcast. The reason I jump on this podcast because this week has been a big week for New York sports. I'm not even going to touch the Mets right now. I'm not going to touch the Mets right now on this podcast. That's going to be a whole other podcast. The big trade for Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco coming to the Mets. That's a whole different podcast. That's going to be a whole half hour podcast. So the reason for this podcast is the big trade of James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets. Robert Saleh is the new head coach of the New York Jets. Big things are happening right now in New York. So let me just touch upon briefly about the Knicks. So the Knicks were in a slump. Lost 5 games in a row. They won a game against the Celtics, which for the most part, I'm glad the Knicks won the game, but they didn't get the best Celtics effort in this game. This is Kemba Walker's first game back with the Celtics with the knee injury that he had that he sustained during the bubble earlier this year, well, in July. The Celtics looked out of sorts. Jason Tatum didn't play this game, but the Knicks took advantage. On Tom Thibodeau's birthday, you got to win. The team got to win for their head coach, which I'm very proud about. They broke the 5-game losing streak. R.J. Barrett dropped 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Julius Randle, 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists. And Emmanuel Quickly, I've been saying his name wrong, Quickly. That's just Quickly. Dropped 17 points and 8 assists off the bench. In my opinion, this rookie's ready to become the starting point guard of the New York Knicks. I was never a fan of Alfred Payton, but he does some things good. He plays great defense. He does get the offense rolling. But I think this Emmanuel Quickly kid, the Knicks offense looks a whole lot better with him running the show. And we're going to see what happens in future games with the New York Knicks. I am going to speak about them as well in another podcast as well. So stay tuned for that next podcast in regards to the Knicks and the New York Mets. Hope to bring you guys those episodes within the week. But now I'm going to talk about the hiring of Robert Saleh, the new New York Jets head coach. He came in earlier this week for a second interview. He left the building without signing a contract, because I believe they were interviewing the Titans offensive coordinator as well, who was also on the second interview. At first, I was not, excited about the hire. I wanted a more experienced head coach. I wanted Doug Peterson. I even wanted Rex Ryan 2.0, to be honest with you, because I wanted a coach who is experienced and ready to take the ball and roll. Already comes in with a plan, ready to go to lead the team. However, There's a few negative flags about Doug Peterson. There was negative flags about Rex Ryan as well, in which I understand why Joe Douglas went in this direction with a defensive coordinator who was in the Super Bowl um, just last year. Just last year, he's on the staff with Kyle Shanahan and led the San Francisco 49ers just recently. We're the NFC defending champions. They didn't make the playoffs. They will be crowned a new NFC conference champion next week. But this guy, for what I've been reading, I had to do some research on him. He's the first Muslim American to become head coach in the NFL. That is a crowning achievement in all sports, in which a Muslim American has taken over the reins of a big, not only an NFL football team, but an NFL football team in New York. We had our African American coaches. We had Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator. Now we have Robert Saleh, a Muslim American, which I didn't know he was Muslim at all until I actually did my research on him. He worked under Pete Carroll. Hopefully, Greg grabbed some things with Pete Carroll. I'm gonna tell you guys something about Pete Carroll. He was one of my favorite head coaches. When he took over that Jets team in '94, I felt he got railroaded by Leon Hess. He should have got another season. It was not fair to him to be fired after one season with the New York Jets. He started off with Pete Carroll, 16 years in the NFL as whether it was quality control coach or a defense coordinator. Robert Saleh was. Started off in Seattle. Then he joined Kyle Shanahan as well, with the San Francisco 49ers becoming a defensive coordinator, leading the top defenses over the past 2-3 years. That was the top defense. Even this season, with all the injuries to Solomon, to Bosa, and Sherman missed a few games this season, the defense is still in the top 10 defense. The only thing I may draw back about is them going back to a 4-3 alignment. I've gotten used to seeing the Jets in a 3-4 alignment, starting from Bill Parcells down to even Greg Williams has coached the 3-4 defense without changing the personnel. However, Robert Saleh is coming with a fresh energy, a new outlook on things as far as the defensive side of the ball. Now, what does that mean for Quinnen Williams? What does that mean for all the other players? What does that mean for C.J. Mosley, who came from a defensive lineman, a 3-4 defensive lineman? How would his role would be now? Because not only are they doing a 4-3 defense, they're actually doing a 4-3 defense scheme. Now, can they run the same cover three scheme with a 3-4 defense? Yes, they can. Because Buffalo did it with Ted Control. When Ted Control was defense coordinator back in the day, they did it with Ted Control. That's what Wade Phillips runs now, a 3-4 defense with a cover 3 scheme. So we'll see what happens with that. But the most important thing that Robert Saleh has to do now, before I get to that, I want to congratulate the Jets, Chris Johnson, Joe Douglas, for doing things the right way. You allow Joe Douglas to pick his coach and hire his coach. Hopefully now the hierarchy is now to the head coach, to the GM to the owner, and we're now going to have a synergy of the organization right now. He signed for 5 years. Joe Douglas has 5 years left on his contract as the GM of the New York Jets. They're hand in hand now. So my question to Joe Douglas right now is, what is he going to do with Sam Darnold and Saleh? Are they going to keep Sam Darnold? From reading from the articles that I've read on the internet, on Google and New York Post, he's bringing Michael LaFleur as his offense coordinator. They see a lot of untapped potential in Sam Darnold, in which hopefully they can probably unpackage for us, so we can finally see the true Sam Darnold, the true talent that came with being the 3rd pick in the 2018 draft. That's what we want to see right now. But there's also an issue, guys. I know my New York Jet fans in the group, the Facebook group, 1 million New York Jet fans worldwide, or whatever that group is called. There's a situation now that Deshaun Watson is asking for a trade. What would it take for the Jets to make a trade for Deshaun Watson? Me personally, for all this draft capital that we've obtained, I don't want to lose any of my draft capital. But if it takes me to give up my first round number 2 pick, along with Sam Darnold going to Houston for Deshaun Watson, I'm going to do it. But I'm not giving the Texans anything more than that. Reason being, you bring in Deshaun Watson, you signed a big contract, a 4-year contract, $156 million contract for 4 years. You bring him in, he's already taken up half your available cap space that you have right now, yearly. Just have $80 million in cap space. If you listen to any of my previous podcasts, how I speak about equitable contracts and how to have flexibility under the salary cap to do what you need to bring in surrounding players. You know that I'm not going to give up my entire draft for Deshaun Watson. No matter how much he bangs the drums, kicks the wall, kicks the door down, or wants to be traded to the Jets or wants to be traded to any other team, I'm not giving up my draft capital for him. If I was Joe Douglas, I would look Texas dead in the face. So listen, I can give you Sam Darnold and my first round pick 2 draft pick. If you want more than a draft pick, if you want more draft picks, how about you throw J.J. Watt in that deal? That'll solve 2 problems with the Jets, 2 holes. The edge rusher in that 4-3 scheme that Rob Sala's going to use, that solves your quarterback. And this solves your quarterback, and the quarterback can be your quarterback for 10 years. He has already been an All-Pro. He's been in 3 Pro Bowls already. He comes ready-made. Who the Jets make that deal? But keep in mind one thing, though. Something that affects the Jets peripherally was the hiring of Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. Why does that affect the Jets peripherally? It's because the Jets may still have an opportunity to draft Trevor Lawrence. Urban Meyer is a former Ohio State head coach. In my humble opinion, he's going to stay loyal. Would I be surprised if he picked Trevor Lawrence? No. But I would not be surprised with that first pick with Jacksonville that he will draft Justin Fields to be the quarterback of the Jaguars. I would not be surprised at all. That's why I think if the Jets do trade for Deshaun Watson, it will have to wait till after the Jacksonville Jaguar pick. It's going to wait after that. Now, if Trevor Lawrence comes on the board, you know what, you draft Trevor Lawrence, you keep Sam Darnold. Have them compete for the starting job. And I would actually start Sam Darnold for the first few games of the season to build up his trade value. If he plays very well under the new system with Michael LaFleur, potentially, with Michael LaFleur as offensive coordinator, and he flourishes, you can possibly get a first round pick for Sam Darnold. And come around week 6, Trevor Lawrence will be able to sit back, watch how all the NFL defenses play, and he can slide right in smoothly, take over as starting quarterback for the New York Jets while they're in the midst of competing for a playoff spot. Just like Miami did with Tagovailoa, whatever his name is, Tua. Let's call him Tua, because I can't pronounce his last name. You can do it like that. Now, with Rob Saleh taking over as a Jet, becoming a Jet head coach, there's a few San Francisco 49er players that could be coming with him. And the first one is cornerback, is Akello Witherspoon. He had some decent seasons. He was injured in 2019. I'm shit. 2019, I believe he was injured. He's well over his 2018, as I try to remember. A guy that, you know, has potential. Put him next to Bless Austin. I'm Bless Austin. Also, I'm big on keeping Brian Poole as a nickelback. But that's not up to me. That's up to Joe Douglas. That's up to Robert Saleh. He may want to bring his own guys in to be the nickelback for the New York Jets. We'll see what happens. Next two players are defensive linemen to go with Quentin Williams on that line. One is Ronald Blair. He was a rotational player in San Francisco, but during his rotation, he has done some great things. Tackles for losses, got sacks. Now put him on the Jets D line with the new 4-3 alignment. He could be definitely edge rush that we need. To Solomon Thomas, defensive tackle, big player for the San Francisco 49ers. A big injury that happened while they played the New York Jets. And I believe week 4 this year, he tore up his ACL. Him and Bosa went down in the same game, actually. He was a terror last season for the San Francisco 49ers. You put him next to Quentin Williams. Them two on the inside to create havoc on a quarterback without the field pass rush is something to be looked to look at. Something to explore. Because the Jets definitely need edge rusher, interior rushers. I say a safety, so I don't think Ashton Davis is ready to take over. Re-sign Marcus May. You need another cornerback, maybe 2 cornerbacks. But I'm the type of guy, if I was GM, I'd be greedy and try to get more than one. So I can have that depth. To have continuous rotation of players coming in to fill that slot and not miss a beat in case of injuries or in case of just having some keep fresh legs on the field. Now, the last guy I think who could be coming in with Robert Saleh is Richard Sherman. We know how great Rich Sherman used to be. What he can bring to the New York Jets as far as right now is his wisdom as a cornerback, an all-pro cornerback. Where he'll be coming to a team that was once owned by a cornerback who had his own island. Darrelle Revis, a guy he feuded with over the internet, over Twitter, about who was the best cornerback. On both their best days, Darrelle Revis was the better cornerback because no one was throwing to his side of the field. And the thing about Darrelle Revis was he followed the best receiver no matter where he was, whether it was in the slot, was on the flanker, or the X receiver on the other side. He followed the best receiver through the entire field. That's something that Rich Sherman did not do. That's why I say he's the best. And Rich Sherman is known for his cover 3. He's known for the cover 3 scheme where he was great at doing in Seattle. But he was decent. He was good enough to start with San Francisco 49ers. Nice. Hopefully it comes to the Jets. It comes and provides some leadership to the team. He's a very smart guy. He's from Stanford. You know what I'm saying? So he's a very smart guy. He should be able to mentor the young cornerbacks. Hopefully they resign Marcus May and go from there. And there you have it, guys. Possibly a team competing for a playoff spot. Not for 2-14, not for another top 3 draft pick or taking to all that shit that we had to deal with this past year. So I'm going to segue to now to basketball. The Brooklyn Nets, a team that I don't usually speak about on my podcast because I'm such a devoted Knicks fan. I'm a big-time Knicks fan. I love the Knicks. However, this is a big trade. A trade that I hope my Knicks have the assets to make the move on. James Harden coming to the Brooklyn Nets. I'm sorry, Brooklyn Nets. And a big deal. But let me explain to you briefly. I'm gonna read off the trade here. As you guys already know the trade. But I'm gonna recap it though. The Nets sent Jared Allen and Taurean Prince, a forward, to Cleveland. Caris LeVert and Rodion Krugers go to Houston, as well as 3 first-round picks from the Nets. The Houston Rockets will have the Nets' first-round picks of 2022, 2024, and 2026, and 4 first-round picks, which is from years 2021, 2023, 2025, and 2027 to Houston, which would be a swap. Therefore, they will swap places depending on where each team land in the draft. In which also, the Rockets also received guard Dante Exum, a 2022 pick from the Cleveland Cavaliers, which via Milwaukee, in which also the Brooklyn Nets also get a 2024 second round pick from the Cavaliers to complete the deal. On the flip side of this too, Caris LeVert also was sent to Indiana for Victor Oladipo. From Houston to Indiana, Caris LeVert has gone to the Indiana Pacers. Victor Oladipo is a pending free agent at the end of the season, a player that I hope the Knicks do sign in the offseason, and a player that Knicks could actually make a trade for right now to give them another scorer next to R.J. Barrett, next to Julius Randle, who's playing great. Contract year. It's because of the contract year, yeah. But I just think Julius Randle the light bulb has turned on for him. He's like, he wants to play for a contender. He wants to be the head man for a contending team for a playoff push. And I already seen the respect he has for Tom Thibodeau. He's playing hard out there. He's leading scorer, leading rebounder, leading assist. I think he's probably the leading assist man of the Knicks as well. So Victor Oladipo is with the Houston Rockets. But let me explain something. I'm going to speak about the Rockets too. Briefly, I think the Rockets could be a playoff team this year as well. They got Boogie Cousins. They got John Wall, who's back after 2 years of missing because of the Achilles. You bring Oladipo into that team. Give that team some time with that new coach. They'll be okay. But I did not agree with the trade for James Harden because not because I didn't agree with the trade. I felt the trade was going to happen, but was there any way they could have kept Caris LeVert? Instead of trading for him, because you already lost Spencer Dinwiddie for the entire season because of the ACL. A big loss for the New Jersey Nets. Brooklyn Nets. I'm sorry, guys. Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets from BK. How will this trade work? You got KD here. KD is a team player. I never had a problem with KD as far as him being a basketball player. I just had a problem with the sensitivity at times, with the fans going back and forth with the net, with the fans dissing my Knicks, saying Knicks ain't cool to play for. But make no mistake about Kevin Durant. He's an NBA MVP. He's an all-world player, once in a lifetime player. He's back from his Achilles injury, full throttle. The problem with me is not with James Harden and KD, because they played together in Oklahoma City. My problem is how Kyrie Irving fits into this team now. He went AWOL for a few days, God knows why. There's been videos of him partying with no mask on with family members. He doesn't even tell his employer that he's going to be missing. He's going to need some time off. And not only that, he's on COVID protocol now. And from afar, he's telling everybody he's excited about the trade. All right. But I felt, in all honesty, he should have been the one to go to Houston in that trade for James Harden. There's no place for Kyrie Irving on his team. If I was the head coach, if I was the general manager, I would not have kept him on the team because he lacks respect for the team. Like Stephen A. Smith said in First Take this week, he felt that Kyrie Irving should retire because basketball was no longer his main focus. And I'm in total agreement with Stephen A. Smith on that, which was doubled down on with Kendrick Perkins as well, who felt Kyrie Irving should retire as well because it's focused on basketball. That's a dangerous situation for the Nets to have now, especially you brought in James Harden with all the problems he had in Houston at the end. He didn't want to play with John Wall. Listen, I would love to see that team. Would have loved to see that team with James Harden and a resurging John Wall and Boogie Cousins on that team. It could have done some damage. But the wild card is Kyrie Irving. With this trade right here for the Brooklyn Nets, is an NBA championship or bust. Do they have enough to beat LeBron James and Anthony Davis with the Lakers? Do they have enough to even beat the Clippers, who's like I would say a long second place team for the NBA Finals? Even though I definitely believe that LeBron will be back in the NBA Finals this year to possibly repeat the Lakers as NBA champions, get his 5th title. Fill up that one hand with 5 rings. I believe he's gonna get those 5 rings as well. But we'll see what happens. But the Nets are on the clock with this trade. James Harden the first game was yesterday. It was Thursday night. My man, first game with the Nets, he dropped 32 points, 14 assists, 11 rebounds. First player in history to have a triple-double in his first game with his new team. And on top of that, KD drops 42 efficient points. We all know Kevin Durant has been the epitome of efficiency. He doesn't need the ball to drop his points. The man is shooting about 58% from the field, about 45% from three-point line. This man will get his points. He doesn't need the ball that much. Only, like I said before, the only problem is going to be is the ball, sharing the ball between Kyrie and James Harden. Like James Harden said in his press conference with the New York media, it's all about sacrifice. We know, I actually honestly believe that we know Kevin Durant is going to sacrifice. I believe James Harden is going to sacrifice. Or will Kyrie sacrifice? That's been the problem. That's going to be the problem, in my opinion. It's going to be Kyrie Irving. But to all my Brooklyn Nets fans, you guys own New York for now. You own it for now. But like I said before, you don't win this chip, you got 2 years to win this chip. But fuck it, you need to win it this year. If you don't win it, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you guys. So it's going to be bad in Brooklyn if you guys don't win the chip. So on that note, I'm going to end this podcast like this. To all my Brooklyn Nets fans, I'm going to leave you guys with one question. How would you feel if the Brooklyn Nets do not win the championship this year? That's my question to you guys. Please comment on my YouTube page. This podcast will be a video version in YouTube. I will drop the link to the YouTube page. Subscribe to my YouTube page as well. For your listening pleasures, it's going to be on Anchor, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Joey G Radio, and iHeartRadio. It's your man Big Down. I want to sign off on this podcast. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Black Grizzly's naturally a true player. With my king crawl, he's like a soothsayer.
stay woke. And our podcast is fire, straight smoke. So pay close attention, cause we ain't the most. Shout out to Sheik J.